Welcome, grade 12 mindsetters. Finally, it's your turn. I hope you are tuning in for grade 10 and 11 because there was lots to learn. As you can see, Peter is back. Continued fun. So, we are chatting about finance today. Personally, this is something that I need to scratch up on. Peter?
I think so. And thanks for all those who've written in. In fact, earlier on I saw that someone actually asked a question and wanted to know more about you. And so I thought on air I'd ask you a question or two.
No, I'm nervous now.
Well, you should be. The first question is this, Indiana, are you South African?
I am, Peter. Are you South African?
Well, I'm actually not sure. You see, my father was born in Iceland and my mother was born in Cuba. And I think it means I'm an ice cube. I don't know. It's something to think about.
I like that.
But just about Indiana as well, and I'll tell you this just before we have a quick break, is this that, you know, Indiana sometimes comes across as though she doesn't know very much. Well, it's absolutely true. She doesn't, because I was chatting to her parents the other day, and when she was at school, she actually came home one day with her maths test, and she said to her dad, "Dad, I kind of failed this test." And he said, "Did you fail this badly?" And she said, "No, I did very well. I failed it very well. I only got 4%. So, I think,
sounds pretty accurate, actually.
Listen, guys, last time when we had the grade 11s, we begged people to send us some jokes because ours are just not kind of working.
Please, Peter's are terrible. That last joke was horrendous. Please send us your own maths jokes.
And it's so sad because it's so true.
Yeah, and now I think we're going to chat about finance, but before we do, guys, don't forget we are on Facebook, facebook.com/Learn Extra, and that's XTRA. I'm sitting here chatting to you guys, and also on Twitter. Twitter's nice because I like Twitter because it's fast. You can ask me questions fast. It's at Learn Extra. That's Learn XTRA. So let's get started, and yeah, don't say mean things about Peter, you know.
No, don't. I get very offended.
It's terribly mean.
But our producer wants us to have an ad break, and you just waffle on.
Yes, okay. Ad break, and we'll be back now. Bye, guys. Hi guys, and welcome back. Thanks for all the jokes. They're coming in fast and furiously. Our producer's saying not too many jokes, we've got to get straight to the learning. But Peter, so a guy shows up late for work, and this is from Chris, by the way.
Hi, Chris.
Okay. The boss yells, "You should have been here at 8:30. And he replies, "Why? What happened at 8:30?
I think that is good. That's probably the joke of the day. Well done, Chris. I enjoy that, and I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'll be in at work at 11 o'clock. Okay. So, we are busy looking at finance, and if you remember, if you're grade 12 and you looked at last week's program, we looked at basic finances. So we looked at balance sheets, we looked at what happens when I draw up a budget and I come up with expenses and income and all the rest. And then we were just about to start this whole phenomenal part called savings, where we were going to look at simple interest and compound interest, and suddenly, wham, time was up. And they kicked me off the air, which was like quite devastating. But it is critical that we understand how to calculate simple interest and compound interest for your exams, okay? And so we decided that today it would be criminal to carry on with another section without finishing this. So that's exactly what we're going to do. So today we're going to look at savings, and savings can happen in two ways: in simple interest and in compound interest. And this is what we ended off with last week. Showed this slide here, and we said savings is interest. We can look at simple interest and compound interest can be broken down. And what we did say last week was this, that I put simple interest way out over here. In fact, let's just show you how far it is. Way over there. And the reason was because nowadays it's quite difficult to find an example of a real life situation where simple interest is actually used. It's really difficult to find that, okay? Because even our banks, they don't really use simple interest. So I don't quite understand why we've still got in the syllabus, but it is still in the syllabus, despite what Indiana said last week. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Just ignore everything I said, guys.
Indiana made a public statement that simple interest is no longer in the matric syllabus, and I just nearly had a heart attack. So did our producers, so did everybody, and I think all the examiners for grade 12 also just kind of collapsed on the spot. Simple interest is still in your syllabus, okay? But what we were trying to explain to you was we're not 100% sure where it gets used in real life nowadays, because things have changed and moved more and more and more towards compound interest. Now, compound interest can be broken up into 4 different sections. In fact, it could actually be broken up into 5, but let's have a look at it. We look at interest that's calculated annually. In other words, I'm calculating that interest only once a year. Then we have interest calculated half yearly, which means we calculate the interest only twice a year. We're going to calculate it at the end of June, and then we're going to calculate it again at the end of December. Interest calculated quarterly means not every 4 months, eh? So many tricks think that. When you say it's calculated quarterly, they say, oh, we're going to do it every 4 months. It's not. It's every 3 months. Because remember, you've got to make up 12 months. So a quarter of 12 is 3. So we're going to calculate that interest after 3 months, then after 6, then after 9, and then finally after 12. And then final one we're going to look at here is the interest calculated monthly. That's when we calculate interest every single month. There is another one though, and that's when we calculate interest daily. So every day we're trying to work out the interest on an amount of money that we're either saving or that we owe somebody or a bank. Okay, so let's get a move on. And the best way to learn, folk, is by doing examples. So without even waffling on any longer, let's have a look at that. But before we look at an example, let's have a look at how we calculate simple interest and compound interest. So there's this formula on simple interest called simple interest is equal to P times N times I. Now, what do those symbols mean? And again, folk, in your final matric exam, your examiner will give you that formula. And not only will they give you the formula, but they are going to tell you what all these little letters mean. So here is a kind of thing you could get in your exam, where it says SI is equal to P times N times I, where SI is the simple interest, P is the amount invested, or your starting amount, and I is the rate of interest. When we calculate compound interest, we are now going to use this formula, where we say that A is equal to P, 1 plus I times N, where A is your final amount with the interest, P is the amount that you invest into the bank, or your starting amount, I is your rate of interest, and then N is the number of times that the interest is going to be calculated. Now, I know as I quickly speed through that, you're probably sitting there saying to yourself, myself, well, what's this all actually mean? But we're going to do some examples. You're going to apply those formulas, and you'll see how well it fits in. So let's have a look at our first example here. Our first example we're going to look at is a simple interest example. There it is. I'm just going to give myself more room to write here. If 250 Rand is invested in a bank for 3 years at 11.5% per year at simple interest, then find the interest earned every year. Okay? So what they're actually saying now is this. I'm going off to a bank and I give them 250 Rand and I put it in the bank. Okay? At the end of that year, the bank says, you keep this money in for a year, pal, and we will give you 11.5% interest. So at the end of the year, I go along to the bank and I say to them, right, how much interest have I earned? And that's what we're going to calculate. So working out the interest, we said earlier our formula is SI equals P times N times R, okay, or times I. And I is my interest rate. P is the amount I start with. So how much am I putting in the bank? I'm putting 250 Rand into that bank. How long am I going to keep it there for? Well, it says I want to know the interest every year. So I'm actually saying, how much interest am I going to have in that bank after that 1 year? So this is easy. N is equal to 1. Now, I is my interest rate. Now, folks, there are several ways to write this interest rate. Okay? Now remember, your interest is so much percent. And what's percent mean? Percent means out of 100. So if we were to look at 11,5%, I could write it like this. 11,5 out of 100. Now, if you did that on your calculator, you would actually get 0,115. So there are two ways to write this. We could write it down as 11.5 over 100, or we could be clever and just say 0,115. I think I like this idea, and you'll know why later on when we're working with complicated compound questions. So what is my I? It's times 0,115%. Okay, now it's simple. Now we just go to our calculator, and we find the calculator, and this is where Indiana's got to do some work, because she's got to remember the answer, because every time I switch from the calculator to the screen, I kind of lose a calculator, and in the process forget the answer. Okay, so here we go. So I've got 250 Rand. I'm going to multiply that for 1 year, and my interest rate was 0,115. In other words, 11.5%. Equals, and we get an answer of 28 Rand 75. Okay, so back to the board, and we say my answer is 28 Rand, Indiana?
75.
There it is. 28 Rand 75 cents. Easy, isn't it? Of course it is. Let's look at the next part of the question. The next part of the question goes on to say this. If, and I'm just going to give myself some more page here. If 250 Rand is invested, now let's find the interest earned after 3 years. Okay? Now, there are two ways to do this. Simple interest. The difference between simple interest and compound interest is this. My simple interest is based on the amount of money that I initially put inside the bank. Okay? The interest is going to be the same year after year after year after year after year after year. You get the idea. All right? So I could actually say my interest, which Indiana will remind me was?
It is 28 Rand and 75 cents.
Absolutely, okay. 28 Rand 75 for 1 year. If it's the same the next year and the same the third year, I could just say that times 3. So we would take out our calculator and say, okay, so it's 28 Rand 75, multiply that by 3, and I'm going to land up then with an answer of 86 Rand 25. So 86 Rand 25 is the interest after 3 years. Let's do that sum again, but this time using the simple interest formula. So I'm going to say, cool, we've got SI is equal to P times my N times my I. My P was the amount I put in the bank first of all, which was 250 Rand. I'm now putting it for 3 years, not for 1, and my interest rate is still the same, okay? 11.5% or 0.115, which is the same thing. Now, we're going to punch this in our calculator, and folk, remember my answer should be 86 Rand 25. And if it's not, well, then I'm unplugging and bolting for the door here.
Well, Rafiwa got the right answer. He posted onto our Facebook wall, and it was the right answer, 86 Rand and 25 cents. Okay,
let's have a look then. So what he would have actually done then is he would have said 250 Rand multiplied by 3 multiplied by 0.115 equals, and folk, remember we're hoping for 86.25. Let's have a look. 86.25. There we go. So it's 86 Rand 25 cents. Can you see that answers are the same? Because, remember, my interest is going to be the same every single year. Because it's the same every single year, it's just like taking the interest plus the same amount plus the same amount. Or taking the interest and multiplying it by 3. Or you can use the formula and do it that way. Okay, great stuff. Let's go on. We got another question. And our next question is this. We're just trying to extend the page here. find the final balance in the bank after the 3 years. All right, so do you remember we started with 250 Rand? To that, we're now going to add that amount we had for the 3 years, which was?
Hold on, 28 Rand and 75 cents.
No, that was for 1 year. We want for 3 years.
You must tell me when to
It
save
was
things for
86
you.
Rand,
Okay, I'm going to say,
25.
Indiana.
So
save.
let's go this 86 Rand and 25 cents. Sorry about that, folk. It seems we have a technical problem in our studio.
Now I'm just going to have to save every single number that comes out of his mouth. I'm going to have this whole long number list.
Okay, so 86.25, we're going to add the 250 Rand equals S to D 336 Rand 25 cents. So let's do that. 336
Am I saving this,
Rand and 25
5
cents.
cents. I'm saving this.
You can save it.
Okay.
Right. But now you don't have to save it because we've got a new question.
Oh, no. You'll see. Okay, I'm not going to delete any of these just in case, because I know what happens. I delete them because I think the question's over, and then Peter asks me again.
All right.
It's a tough job, this one. Whew.
If the same 250 Rand was invested for 3 years at 11.5% compounded annually, now we've come up with this new word, compounded, okay? No longer simple interest, now compounded. Then determine the final balance in the bank after the 3 years. All right, folks, so what do we actually mean by compounded? Okay. Now, some time ago, I told a story to the grade 11s. I'm not going to go through this whole story again, but just to say this, that if Indiana came to me and said, Peter, I've got no money. Please, just hand me $100. And I gave her 100 Rand, and the following week I said, Indiana, have you got my money? Oh, no, sorry, forgot. What can I say? And the following week, Indiana, do you have my money? And she says, yeah, here it is, it's 100 Rand. Okay? And now I've got my 100 Rand. Just like that. Lent to 100, got 100 back. The next week she comes to me and says, hey, Pete, sorry, man, life's tough. Have you got 100 Rand for me? And I say, yeah, I do. But I'm going to charge you interest. And I'm going to charge you 10% interest a week. That means every week I'm going to add 10% to what you owe me. So Indiana says, yeah, sure. And Indiana, being the way she is, she doesn't quite understand what I mean. But the next week she comes along to me and she says to me, oh, Pete, forgot your money. And I said, hey, that's no problem. Because you know you owed me 100 Rand, now you owe me 110 Rand. How did I get that? I added 10%. And 10% of 100 is 10. That means she owes me 110 Rand. Okay? The next week she comes to me and she says to me, here's your money. I'm like, cool, got my money.
Finally.
All right? But you owe me another 10 Rand because you owed me 10 Rand the first week, 10 Rand the next week, you actually owe me 120 Rand. Now you will notice my interest didn't change. It's still 10 Rand, because the initial deal with Indiana was she would owe me, I would charge her 10% simple interest. Okay? So just basic interest, simple. Every week I'm going to add on 10 Rand. Cool. Okay, so bear that in mind. Now let's go back to our story again.
Can I ask you a quick question
Ask
before
me a
you get
quick
back to
question.
your story? I don't know if this is related, but I wanted to know, is simple interest, is it the same as compound interest if n equals 1?
Yes, it is.
Is it?
Absolutely. If it's compounded annually. Now that's a great question. Okay, it really is, but we're going to get sidetracked, so keep that question in mind.
Will you remember it?
No, I won't. You'll
Okay,
just
you'll
remember
remember
it
to
on
tell
your
me. Okay.
typewriter. Okay.
Okay.
And then we can answer that for our viewers. So the question was, if my interest is for a year, compound interest for a year, simple interest for a year, is it the same thing? Okay, we'll talk about that now. But let's go back to our story. So the following week, Indiana comes to me and she says to me, hey, times are hard. Have you got $100 for me? And I say, yeah, okay, but I know the skellum. Okay, I know I'm not going to get my money back straight away. So I say to her, Indiana, I'll lend you 100 Rand, but understand this, I'm now going to charge you 10%. She says, yes, like you did last time. I say, no. This time I'm going to charge you 10% compounded every week. And Indiana, being the person that she is, says, yeah, but doesn't understand a word about it. Okay, so now what happens is, in the first week, she owes me 100 rand. Oops, there it is. Okay, I say to her the following week, Indiana, do you have my money? Oh, gee, forgot. Sorry, what can I say? I said, no problem. Remember, I'm adding 10%. Yeah, fine. So I find 10% of that, and now I've got 110 rand that she owes me. The next week she comes along, she says, hey, I got you 100 bucks. But now 2 weeks have gone past. So I'm adding another 10%. But I'm not adding the 10% on my 100 rand. I'm now adding the 10% on the amount that she owes me. What does she owe me? She owes me 110. I'm going to add 10% to 110, and 10% on 110 is 11 rand. So she actually owes me now 121 rand. Oi, I'm making money out of this chick. Okay? So where she initially just thought it was 100 rand, it now became 120 rand. Now we're on 121 rand. But the difference is this, folks. The first example, I didn't charge her interest. The second example, I charged her simple interest. In other words, it's interest on the amount that I lent her. Compound interest is the interest on the amount that she owes me. And remember, every week the amount she owes me is getting more and more and more. So my interest is being based on a higher and higher and higher and higher figure. Hey, I'm on a winning streak here. In fact, Indiana, don't you want to borrow some money?
I don't. I really don't.
It's
Not from you,
it's
at
simple.
least.
85% interest, compounded hourly.
Maybe John McBride will lend me money and not charge me compound interest.
All right. So now that explains compound. Now we can get to the actual question, shall we?
Yes, let us.
Okay. So here we go. Right. 250 compounded annually. Now, my formula for compound interest is P equals A bracket 1 plus R all to the power of N. A being, oops, sorry, I don't understand why that suddenly came there. A being the amount of money I'm putting into the bank. And remember, I'm putting 250 rand into the bank. The 1 is 1, hey? 1 is 1. You don't change 1. 1 is 1. That's it. Okay. I is the interest, which is 0, I don't know why my hand wrote that. 0,115 to the power of, and we're putting it in 3 years. N, the number of years. Now we take our calculator and we're going to do this. So let's go. We've got 250 bracket 1 plus, what was my interest? 0.115, close bracket, and we're doing it for 3 years. Equals, and there is the money I'm going to get out. 346 rand. Now, folks, just look at our calculator. You can see it's 0.548. Now, remember, we're dealing with money. And when we deal with money, money is rands and cents. And there are only 100 cents in a rand. So I can only have 2 decimal places after the comma. So if we look back at our calculator, we'll see we've got 346 rand and 55 cents, because that 8 is going to change that 4 to a 5. So if you remember that, Indiana, 346, 55. Okay. So here we go, we're just finding another color, and we're going to say, so I've got 346 and 55 cents. Okay, there it is. So that's the amount of money I've got if I've used compound interest. How much did I get if I had simple interest? Let's go back to the previous screen, and we will see here that I had an amount of 336. So I had 336. If I do it compoundedly, oh my Gideons, what have we done here? Okay, if I do it compoundedly, we've lost the screen. I'm going to land up with something entirely different. Okay, I've lost the screen. It's really kind of
take a break?
wacky and weird.
Do you want a glass of water? Don't panic.
I think I need a glass of water. Wait, let me
You know
try
what?
this
We're
again.
going to go to a break. While
No, I found it. No,
he's
don't go
found
to a
it.
break. I'm back.
Okay, he's back. Okay,
so
let's
we
go.
had 336. If we did it simple interest, if we do it compound interest, we definitely are going to land up with more money, and we're going to land up with, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing, with 346, and the previous one was 300 and?
It was 346 and 55 cents, and then the previous one 336 and 25 cents.
Absolutely. So we've actually made an extra 10 rand, even with all the technical difficulties. Okay, it seems I've got a lot of problems today. I've got a producer, I've got an assistant, I've got a board, everything is just... Guys, you must try and work here. It's really tough stuff. I think I must ask for a raise or something.
It's fun. I call it extreme presenting. Extreme mindset. Learn. Okay. Learn extra live. It has to be extreme.
All right. So, do you understand the kind of questions we could give in a test? Right? We can ask simple interest. We can also ask it in compound. Now, with compound, we can get a little more difficult. Okay. So let's move on, and let's have a look at our next question. So, as a gift for passing grade 7, Tabo was given 1,000 rand. He decides to take the money and invest it for 5 years so that he can use it when he finishes school. He has 3 ideas. Right. Idea number 1. He can loan the money to his parents at 15% per annum simple interest for the 5 years. Or he can put the money in the bank that offers 12% interest compounded monthly for 5 years. Oh, hello, this is something new, hey? Compounded monthly. We've never come across this thing compounded monthly, so we're going to look at that quite carefully. Idea 3, he sees that there is an advert which promises that if you invest 1,000 rand with this particular company called Wanalada Matcha, you will be given 24% per annum compounded half yearly. Right, so let's have a look at this whole scenario. Tabu has just got 1,000 rand. Why? Because he passed grade 7. He gets given 1,000, he says, you know what, I'm going to put it in the bank for 5 years so that I can earn interest. And when I'm finished school, I'll have a lot more money. And he's got 3 ideas. Idea number 1, lend it to mom and dad, simple interest. Idea number 2, put it in a bank and earn interest, compounded monthly. Idea number 3, give it to some funny little company which he saw advertised, and the company's name, and I love this name, Wanalada Matcha. Okay?
Did you come up with that?
No, not at all. Eh? So Wanalada Matcha company says, we'll give you 24% compounded half yearly if you give us your 1,000 rand. Okay, so those are the 3 ideas which he's got. So let's have a look.
Wait, hold on. Yeah. Hold the bus, Peter. How's about we go to a break and we tackle this question as soon as we get back? How do you feel about that? The producer's telling me so. Don't give me that look. Look at that look, guys. All of you mindsets.
If the producer tells us to do something, we listen. Yes, because either way, she's just going to cut us off and put that on anyway. So we'll just do it with a bit of decor and just say, folks,
do it with grace.
After the break, why don't you leave your lounge, go off, have a cup of water or a cup of coffee or something great, come back and watch the rest of us. Okay?
Mindsetters, we are back, grade 12s. I hope you're all joining in. The page is very, very quiet, hey? Facebook.com/LearnExtra. Also chat to me on @LearnExtra on Twitter. Guys, get chatting, even if it is just to say, hello, I'm watching. And if you aren't watching, then, well, first of all, you're not going to hear this, but you are missing a fantastic, fantastic show. Peter, carry on as you were. I know you were very upset that we went to a break. And go.
I hope you had a great break, but it's good to have you back here again. All right, so we're busy looking at a question, and just before the break, we posed this question, and we said that this guy called Tabu passes grade 7, and he gets given 1,000 rand, and he doesn't quite know what to do with this 1,000 rand, and he's got 3 ideas. Idea number 1, let's give it to mom. Idea number 2, let's invest it in a bank at compounded monthly rates, okay? And idea number 3, he's going to put it in with a company, and I love the name, Marcha, okay? And that's the name of the company. Now, guys, if you're investing money with a company called Marcha, I think you're looking for a bit of trouble. But anyway, he's considering it because they're offering 24% per annum compounded half yearly. Now, here's a question that says, show by means of calculations which offers the best interest. Oh my word, that is not a problem. That's like a career. We're going to be here for a while going through this because there are 3 different calculations that we've got to do. We've got to look at all 3 different answers, and then we've got to determine which answer is the better deal, or which deal is going to be the better one for Tabu to follow. Okay, so here we go. Firstly, simple interest, 15% for the 5 years. Let's have a look at it. So we know our simple interest formula is equal to P times N times R. And Tabu has got 1,000 Rand that he's taking, okay? He's going to invest it or give it to his folks for 5 years, and the interest rate that his folks said they're going to give him is a whacking 15%. Now, how do we write 15%? 0.15. So that is going to be the interest we will get. So on our calculators then, we're going to clear everything and we're going to say, let's punch in 1,000 multiplied by 5 multiplied by 0.15. And we get an answer then of 750 Rand. So our answer of 750 Rand looks exciting, looks great, but you know what, folk? We have not finished the question because we're trying to find out how much money he will get at the end of his matric. Remember, he's going into grade 8, so it's grade 8, grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. 5 years, come and go. How much money has he got in total? Well, if that's the interest he earns, and he started with 1,000 Rand, we can then say his bank balance must be 1,750 Rand. Okay? Sure, that's not bad for when you leave matric and suddenly you've got 1,750 Rand to spend. That's quite interesting. Option number 2, let's have a look at it. He's going to go to a bank, and he's going to put the money in the bank. Oh, that's idea 2. And he put the money in the bank that offers 12% interest compounded monthly for the 5 years. Okay, now we're coming to some fun stuff. How much money has he got? 1,000 Rand. That's easy. Nothing hard about that, except that we can't find a pen. There we go. So we've got 1,500 Rand, bracket, 1 plus. Now, what interest rate was he offered by the bank? He was offered 12%. How do I write 12%? It's 0.12. Agreed? So we're going to say 0.12%. But here is the trick. The bank is saying compounded monthly. In other words, at the end of every month, we're going to calculate your interest. But folk, if the bank say we're going to give you 12% a year, doesn't mean that after 1 month they're going to give me 12%. Imagine if I went into a bank and I had 1,000 Rand and I go into the bank and I say, hey, you behind the counter, what interest are you going to give me on my money? And the little woman says, we'll give you 10%, sir. And I say, great, here's my 1,000 Rand. And the next day I walk into the bank and I say, hey, I want my money, please. 10% of 1,000 is 100. I want 1,100 Rand. She's going to say, well, actually, sir, we can't do that because we offered you 10% per year. You've got to have your money in the bank for a full year to get that 10%. If you have that money in for 1 day, well, we've got to take that 10% and divide it by 365. If you have that interest in for 1 month, we're going to take that 12% and divide it by 12 because there are 12 months in a year. Okay? And that's exactly what we're going to do here. We are going to say, right, he's got 12%, but after every month, we're dividing it by 12. We're giving him a 12th of that interest rate. Got it? Okay? We'll do more examples later on. But if I'm giving an interest rate to compounded monthly, I'm taking a 12th of that interest rate. Now, how many times am I calculating it? Well, we're putting it in the bank for 5 years, eh? But if I'm calculating it for 12 months every year, in my first year I've got 12 months, my second year I've got 12 months, my third year 12 months, my fourth year 12 months, my fifth year 12 months. Indiana, how many months do I have?
To be honest, I wasn't listening because I was reading a question.
Okay, well, we've got 5 times 12 months. So when I push this into my calculator, I'm going to say I've got 1,500 Rand plus 0.12 divided by 12 to the power of 60, because 5 12s, Indiana, are 60. Okay.
Can I ask you a question? It's exactly what I was reading, so you know that it's not because I wasn't paying attention. Obal says, can you say, she wants to know if it's wrong or if it's right if she says this. Why don't you say 1,000, open brackets, 1 plus 15%, and then, what do you call it, 5?
Because we're not dealing with 15%, we're dealing with 12%.
Okay. So she is wrong if she says that.
Yeah,
I'm not quite sure where she got the 15% from.
No, it's definitely 12%. The question says 12. That is 12. Hey, 1, 2, 12.
Yes,
yeah,
okay.
12%.
Okay. Well,
at least she's like paying kind of a bit.
And also she's posting onto our wall as well.
Absolutely.
That's what I kind of feel like. Where are these grade 12s? I hope they're watching. So, yeah. And then also Teller, well, I've got your attention right now he wants to know, please, Peter, can you be specific about the years of S.I? Is it about 3 years, 4 years, 5 years max? Does that make sense? Am I reading it wrong,
I
Peter?
don't know, it sounds like a dance, eh? 3 years, 4 years, 5 years max. I don't know. I don't quite understand the question. Maybe you can just ask us again, and then we'll try and...
Teller, please let us know what you mean about the question. Maybe write it a bit, I don't know, maybe it's just me, Peter, could be.
Yeah, maybe Indiana just can't read it properly.
Maybe.
Listen, we're running out of time.
Okay,
I've got to get on with this. So here's my question. Remember we said it's 12% calculated monthly, so we're dividing it by 12. N is the number of times I'm working out my interest. I'm doing it 12 times every year for 5 years. So it's 12 times, 24 times, 36, 48, and finally 60. Then we bring up our calculator and we say, all right, let's do this. We've got 1,000, in fact, hold on, he didn't invest 1,500, he invested 1,000 Rand, hey? Okay, again, let's just do this. Oops, sorry, that was my huge mistake, hey? It's 1,000 Rand, not 1,500. I know everyone makes mistakes, but I don't normally, so I get quite sad when I do. No, I'm joking. Okay. Many people tell me that I was the mistake. All right, now, let's go on here, and we're going to say, right, I've got 1,000 Rand, bracket, 1 plus, now, fraction button, hey? 0.12 is the percentage. I'm going to put it over 12 because I'm calculating it monthly. Close those brackets and it's to the power of 60. So how much money am I actually earning? There it is. 1,816 Rand. And let's have a look at this. 696 changes it to 70. Okay, so Indiana, 181670. Let's go. Equals
181670
70 cents. Great. Now, already, folk, when we look at this answer compared to my 1,750, I can see that already the bank seems to be a better deal than Mom and Dad. Okay, Mom and Dad are only going to give me 1,750. The bank are going to say, put it with us, guys, and we'll give you 1,816 Rand and a full 70 cents as well. Now, option 3. What was option 3? Option 3 was saying, let's give it to Wanalada Marcha at 24% compounded half yearly. So let's do that. Back to question number 3. Okay, there it is. A is equal to P, 1 plus I times N. So how much are we putting in? We're putting in 1,000 Rand, 1 plus. My interest rate is a whopping 24%. Okay, that's amazing. Was it 24%? Let's just check. Yep, it was 24%. All right. So 24% is 0.24. but it's calculated half yearly. In other words, we are doing this calculation twice a year. So if I'm giving you 24% in a year, half a year, obviously I'm only getting 12% of that 24. Cool, Indiana?
Fantastic.
All right. So if Indiana understands it, we all understand it. So it's now 0.24 divided by 2 to the power of what? Well, we got it in the bank for 5 years. Having it in the bank for 5 years, but in this year we calculated twice, this year twice, that year twice, twice, 10 times. So it's to the power of 10. So let's go for this now. We're going to say, right, clear my calculator. There it goes. We got 1,000 Rand, bracket, 1 plus, remember we said they're giving us 24%, but we're doing it twice a year, okay? So we're only going to divide it by 2, and we're doing it for 10 times, for 5 years and twice a year. Sorry, it's to the power of 10. Okay, equals, and here's my answer. And Indiana, I need you to write this down.
I'm writing it down.
3,105 Rand, 85 cents. Got
it.
Okay.
Got it.
So let us write that down now. So we're going to say you've got 3,000, Indiana.
104. Was it 5? It was 5.
Oh.
Because I've written 4. 3,104 and 85 cents.
3,105.
Oh, it's 5.
Okay.
I thought it was a 5, but I'd written a 4. And 85 cents.
Oh dear, no, we can't even find our pen. Even the board is horrified. Comma, how much cents? 85.
85.
85 cents. All right, so we got 3 answers here, folks. Our first answer, 1,750 Rand if we give it to mom and dad. The second option, we give it to the bank and we're getting 1,816 Rand. The third option, we hand it over to this company called Wanalotamacha. And they're going to take our money and they say, after 5 years, we will give you 3,105 Rand, 85 cents. Sure. Looks like what a lot of matcha company is the route to go. Okay? Do you understand what we've done? So we've looked at a problem, we've looked at it from a simple interest point of view, we've looked at it compound interest, but we've looked at it calculating it monthly, and then we've also looked at it calculating it half yearly. Now, what is our next question? Our next question is going to say this. Would you use idea 3? Explain your answer. And remember, idea 3 is to give it over to Wanalotamacha. Now, like maths, it's all about real life. And here's a real life situation. Here's a company that's saying to you, you give us your money, and we'll give you over 3,000 Rand after 5 years. The next best thing is a bank that's saying, we'll give you 1,800 Rand. So, straight off we'd say, you know what, hey, let's hand it over to this company called this Wanalotamacha company, okay? Because I'm getting so much money. But let's think about it. And the truth is this, there are so many scams out there. There are so many people out there who say, you know, give us your money and we will take it and we'll do this with it and we'll do that with it and this and that and all the rest and we will make you so much money you'll be as happy as anything. But you know, I found through personal experience that a bank is probably still one of your safest bets because then you're guaranteed of having that money. So Indiana, I don't know if you know this, but I actually, and this is real life, I was actually read an article in a paper where a certain company, I'm not allowed to mention them on air obviously, but it was a diamond company, said invest your money with us and we will give you so much money back that you will just be absolutely astounded by it. Okay? So that's exactly what my wife and I did. And we took our...
Because you believed them.
We did. And my wife and I worked overseas and we saved so much money. We saved money for 5 years, okay? We hardly ate, we hardly did anything. All we did was save our money. And we took 100,000 Rand and put it with this company. And this company was offering us 5% interest a month on my money. A month! That's a lot of money. That means every month on 100,000, I was getting 5,000 Rand a month. After 1 year, I'd get 60,000 Rand back on my 100,000. And I thought, wow, this is fantastic. And you know, so many people said, hey, Pete, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I said, okay, I'm going to do it. And I did. And the first month, I got my 5,000 Rand. And I was so happy. And I thought, yeah, you people all told me I mustn't do it. The second month, I got 3,000. I thought, oops, what happened to the 5,000? The third month, I got 1,000. And after that, I never got another cent. And the whole company just crashed. I lost all my money, all 100,000 Rand of it. And you know what? That really hurts inside. So what I'm saying to you is watch out for these funny companies. So would I invest with a company called Wanalotta Marcha? Guys, I don't think so. They're promising me a lot here. It's not guaranteed. I'd rather put my money in a bank. Okay.
I'm really sorry about your money, Peter. You
You
must
know,
have heard a lot. But you know what? Now every single mindset has heard, and now they will learn from your lesson.
absolutely, and it's an important lesson to learn in life. It really is.
Yeah.
Okay. How much money will you need to deposit? Now we've got a totally different type of question here. How much money will you need to, how much money will need to be deposited if Susan needs 900 Rand in 4 years' time, and if the bank offers 10% interest compounded annually? Okay, so let's have a look at this question. I've got a question here where we're saying here we go, A is equal to P1 plus I to the power of N, because I'm dealing with compound interest. And remember, in your exam, your examiner will tell you, use the following formula, or the following formula may be needed, right? So use those formulas. In this question, we haven't given it to you, but that's because I'm here and I know that formula. So A is equal to P, bracket, 1 plus I to the power of N. Now, we are told that at the end of a period of time, how much time? 4 years. At the end of 4 years, I want 900 Rand. So with all the interest, I want a final figure of 900 Rand. In other words, guys, I know what my A is. My A is 900. So we're going to write here A is 900 Rand. Okay? We are calculating how much must I put into the bank. In other words, what is my P amount? Now, let's have a look at it. What is my interest rate? My interest rate is 10%. So it's 0,1. But it's compounded annually, which means I'm only calculating that interest once a year. So I don't have to divide by half, or divide by 2, or divide by 12, or anything. Because every year I'm calculating that interest. So I can leave it as 10%, because at the end of the 1 year I'm getting that 10%, and I'm leaving it there for 4 years. Okay, now we want to calculate what is that P value. So I'm going to say, right, my P is equal to, I've got my 900 Rand, and what I'm going to do, what is the sign between the P and the bracket? Indiana, do you know?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Multiply.
Absolutely, eh? Absolutely. So, remember in the good old days, a multiply sign looked like this. Okay? And then mathematicians were working very, very fast, and they said, hey, look, we don't have to worry about the multiply sign. Let's just put a dot. So they put a dot, right? And then later on they said, you know, sometimes you can read the dot, sometimes you can't read a dot. So if there's no dots, if there's no sign between two things, just presume it's multiply. So the sign between P and the bracket is multiply. When I take this whole bracket side across, I'm going to divide. Now, I know mathematicians out there are now pulling their hair out saying, oh, what are you doing? But guys, maths lit, just listen to me. If I'm multiplying this sign, we're taking all the stuff across. Because there's a times sign, when I go across the equal sign, I'm going to divide. So I've got the 900, and I'm now dividing it, and I'm getting down here because I can't write properly. I'm now going to divide it by 1 plus 0,1 all to the power of 4. Okay? So let's do this on our calculator. We've got our calculator, and we say, fraction button, 900 divided by what? Well, it's divided by bracket 1 plus 0.1 close brackets all to the power of 4. Remember, the answer that we are now going to get is going to tell us how much money we need to put in the bank so that in 4 years' time, we land up with 900 Rand. And let's see what we actually land up with. So, equals, and there's our answer. 614 Rand and 71 cents. Okay? 614 Rand and 71 cents.
Cool. Peter,
So,
can
yeah.
I ask you a question?
Yes, please do.
It's a few that a few minds that have been asking me. Oseni from Facebook has asked, as well as Biolex94, probably not his real name. Can I use the simple interest? They said they've got a different way of working out simple interest. Can I use simple interest equals principal times time times rate over 100?
Okay, let's write that up on the board. I'm just going to find some place. So they're saying simple interest equals P times?
Time times rate.
Okay, times the N.
So
there we go. Sorry.
They said simple interest is interest equals principal times time times rate over 100.
Okay, absolutely. Because remember earlier, right? So they're saying instead of R, can't we say the rate over 100? Absolutely, guys. Because that's what we said right in the beginning of the program, hey? If I give you 10%, I could write 10% as 10 over 100, or I could write it as 0.1. Because if I took my calculator and said 10 divided by 100, I'd get 0.1. Now 0.1, that's this way, the I. A rate over 100, well, that's what we've done over there. Okay? So, yeah, absolutely, you're 100% right for sure. Okay.
Fantastic, Oseni. Okay.
Another question.
Let me have a look. Yeah. There is...
Okay, while you're looking for that
while
question,
you're looking, yeah.
I've got another little joke here, which is really sad, but it's quite nice. What would you get if you took a teacher and crossed a teacher with a vampire?
What would you get?
A lot of blood tests.
That's
So
amazing.
I thought it was cool. Okay, what's your question?
Okay, this one's from Meshach. Meshach wants to know, the formula of simple interest is different from the one I know. What the difference between them is. The one I know is A equals P, open brackets, 1 plus I dot N.
All right, there it is on the board. So that's the one they're talking about.
Yes.
Okay, let me tell you the difference. You're absolutely right, eh? But this formula is working out the total in the bank with that interest. Whereas this formula, SI equals P times N times I, that formula is just calculating the interest alone. Where this one that you're talking about is saying, let's add the interest with the amount we initially put in. So you're absolutely right. What was her name?
This was Meshach, and I think it's a boy.
Meshach. Meshach, you're absolutely right, eh? But just understand that if I ask just for the interest, then we're going to have to work that one out. If I ask for the interest with the initial amount, then that's the amount, that's the formula that we would use, okay? Or we could work out the simple interest and then just add it to the amount that we initially put in. But you are 100%. Both of those are correct, and you know, depending which one you examine once, they'll give you that one with the question that you have.
Fantastic. Okay, so I heard the producer, we've got 30 seconds. You know what, Peter, this has been a fantastic show. Can't wait for you to come back next week. We're going to have lots of jokes. Guys, remember to have those jokes ready for Peter. He's very picky with his jokes, eh? Guys, thank you so much, Matrix, for joining in. Don't forget that we have Learn Extra live every week, Monday to Thursday. Grade 10 starting at 4, grade 11s at 5, grade 12s at 6. Thank you so much. And grade 10s, I'm putting your question on the page right now. Have a fantastic evening, guys. Bye.
Cheers.